Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 25th of July. Today we have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to start with the report of Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation, and according to their report, during the previous hours they attacked the 95th Air Assault Brigade, and as a result of that attack the Ukrainians lost around 100 soldiers. This is the north of Sloviansk. This is the area where the Ukrainians are trying to stop the Russians who is attacking from Izum bridgehead towards Dolina, Bogorodichna, Prishep, Krasnopolye, trying to cross this Sherwood forest and to get Slavians from the north or from the west, north, and so on. This area is under protection of 81st Air Mobile Brigade. We discussed this brigade few videos in the past. There was a lot of losses in this brigade. Also, this area is protected by 79th Air Assault Brigade. This brigade is also damaged, had a lot of losses during the previous weeks. And the 18th Air Assault Brigade, during the previous weeks the Russians were hunting for their headquarters and did them a lot of losses as well. So as you can see, the north of Sloviansk is very weak. The only thing that stopped the Russians in this area is Sherwood Forest, totally fortified Sherwood Forest, and the Ukrainians are very good there. So we'll follow this situation as well. Now let's talk about other updates from Ukraine. Maybe you have already heard that there was some kind of special operation in Ukraine that was done by the Ukrainians. You know that there is some kind of special forces in Ukraine, and their main job is I'm not talking about commandos or scout job, it's some kind of spy games and so on. And the Ukrainians started their special operation, and the main goal of that special operation was to steal the Russian battle aircrafts. So they were planning to steal Russian planes, and they were trying to do this for a few months in a row. And the main idea was to find a pilot, Russian military pilot, to give him some money, to make some negotiation with them, and as a result, that pilot should take some battle aircraft from Russian territory and to cross the Ukraine and to get somewhere on the west of Ukraine and to land there. And this operation might bring a lot of media, a lot of success, a lot of media victory for the Ukrainians and so on. So that was the plan. And as a result, during this plan, the Ukrainians managed to find the pilot. There was some negotiations. They agreed about the money, the cost, how much these Ukrainians should pay him for crossing the river, for crossing the border and to get to the west of Ukraine. Of course, we understand that the negotiation from the Russian side was done not by this pilot but by the special forces. So that's why we understand that there was negotiation between Ukrainian special forces and Russian special forces. So they had some agreements, and furthermore, the Ukrainians paid some money. They paid, I don't know about the number, how much did they pay, but believe me, they paid a lot, because we understand that they thought that they were paying to the pilot who was crossing the border and of course and bringing some Russian aircraft and so on. And the thing is that the Russians, of course, we understand that if the plane are crossing the border, there are a lot of anti-air systems in Ukraine, and of course, this anti-air system wouldn't allow this plane to cross. They are working now automatically. They would spot the plane and they would destroy it if anybody crossed the border. So that's why the Russians asked the Ukrainians, could they give this pilot the safe way, the safe pass, how to cross and to get and not being shut down by the Ukrainian air systems. And of course the Ukrainians told him that yes, we can provide you the pathway. And they told him that, for example, don't fly in the south because, let's say, in town Kryvyi Rog or somewhere else, there is a very powerful anti-air system, and this system will shut you down. So that's why use another way, for example, use the north of Ukraine and so on. And to tell the truth, the Ukrainians provided the Russians every very important classified information about the location of their anti-air systems. Of course, the Russians got the money, they took the money, of course, and after that they destroyed the anti-air systems on the south of Ukraine and everywhere else where the Ukrainians provided them information. And after that, the head of this departure of the special operation of Ukraine was dismissed by Zelensky because of this failure. And of course, we understand that it's a very big failure and very big mistake. And that's about the special operation that Ukrainians were tried to do for the previous few months. Now let's talk about updates on the map. There was a lot of interesting and very important updates from the Russian sources. These updates are coming from the south of Donbas occupation, from Ugledarska power plant. Yesterday in the evening, we got report that the Russians establish some control over Novoluganska and Ugledarska power plant. If you take a look at the Russian sources map, you're going to see that this map has been updated. In the previous version of this map, we saw just Dolomitna, this town, under Russian control. Today they're showing us that they have some control over some part of town Novoluganskaya. And by this evening of local time, we got report that the Russians are ending some clearing operation in this area. So they established control all over this area, over Ugledarska power plant, over Novoluganska, over the area between these towns, and so on. This morning we got some video from the forces that located in this area. If we take a look at the map of this position, you're gonna see that this area is under protection of few brigades. One of them is 13th Mechanized Brigade, 72nd Mechanized Brigade, and anti-retreat forces, the national battalions. And this morning we got video from some forces, from some groups of 72nd Mechanized Brigade. This like icon on this map. There was a video where these forces were saying that they were fighting on the zero line, on the edge of the front line, just with guns and nothing more. They didn't have any artillery support, any tank support, any air support, any helicopter support, nothing. And they were dying and dying. They had a lot of losses, and they told that we are leaving this position not because we don't want to do our job, but because we don't have any support. And they left this position, this area. There was some report from the Russian sources that Ukrainians start retreating, that they start moving, start evacuation process of equipment and so on. And after that, the Russians took entire control over this area. Now there is a clearing operation. According to the Russian sources, there are still some forces, some Ukrainians in this area. They still are hiding somewhere in these buildings. So this area is already collapsed. And I'm sure that maybe by the next evening we're going to see that this area is going to be colored in red, showing us that this territory is under the Russians. But for now, there are still some clashes and some clearing process. As you can see, the entire south has been collapsed. Now let's update this map, this south area near Ugledarska power plant, according to information we have. As you can see, the West sources map has been updated already. Yes, they are showing that Novoluganska is under Russians, Ugledarska power plant, but there is another important update about this Dolomitna. The Dolomitna is also under Russian control. So this is the situation. And as you can see, there is another cauldron, small cauldron in Semigoria. We can call it a back, but we understand that the road that connects Semigoria and Kadema is already under fire control. I'm sure that the Ukrainians are planning to leave this area very soon, because there is very difficult to keep this area, even if the Ukrainians are not Ukrainian command are not planning to give an order to retreat. I'm sure that Ukrainians who are there will decide to save their lives and to leave their position, as the forces from the 72nd Mechanized Brigade did a day ago. So the south is very important. If you remember a few videos ago, we discussed about projections of intelligence. The United Kingdom intelligence told us that the Russians will try to attack Sloviansk and Seversk to develop their offensive operation from the north. The US intelligence told that the Russians will try to attack Seversk and Bakhmut, and if you remember, my projection was that the Russians will try to establish control over the south, over this area. And as you can see, the most fortified position has already collapsed. I'm talking about Ugledarskaya power plant and Novoluganska, because it's a factory, it's a plant, it's a, if we're talking about Novoluganska, it's a town with big buildings, and for now, till the Kurdyumovka, till this area, there is no place where the Ukrainians can keep their position. There is a very small villages, and we understand that because of the fact that Ugledarskaya power plant has fallen, now the Russians will develop their operation towards Semigoria and towards Kademov from few sides, and this entire area is going to collapse soon, very soon, because this area is also under very heavy shelling. And we understand, as soon as the Russians are able to establish control over these two villages, everything that on the south, I'm talking about town Dacha, Gladasova, Travneva, these towns, they're also are going to collapse, because it is very difficult to keep this area, because the Russians will be able to attack this area from at least 3 sides. So that's why this area is going to collapse very soon as well. I'm trying to say that all the south of this area maybe are going to collapse, maybe even by the end of this weekend. Who knows? Because there is no place to hold, to keep the area. And of course, the main goal of the Russians in this area to establish control to get Kurdyumovka, this one. And they really can do this, because if we are talking about this fortification, this position, I'm talking about Zaitsevo, Bakhmutka, Bandarevka, Nikolaevka, and so on, this area, this fortification is supported just with one road, this one. T0513 that goes from Bakhmut towards the south. There is no other way how the Ukrainians can supply and support this area. And we know that the Russians have very heavy clashes around Veselo Dolina, Zaitsevo, Vershina, and I suppose that this road is already under fire control. So I don't think that it's a very good idea to support the south. Furthermore, if the Russians are able to establish control over Kadema, they will have some fire control over this road as well from this side. And you're just 5 kilometers, and believe me, it's not very difficult to establish control and to reduce any support that goes to the south. Now let's talk about offensive operation towards this area. If we are talking about Seversk and Bakhmut, why developing offensive operation in the south is easier than developing offensive operation in Bakhmut and Seversk. And everything is, it's all because this river, the Bakhmut. If you take a look at this defense line, you're gonna see that all this defense line is built on this river Bakhmut that goes from Seversky Donetsk River, this one. This blue line goes to the south, and this river ends on the territory that is under Russian control in Gorlovka. This is the end of this river. And if we're talking about offensive operation in Seversk or Bakhmut, yes, the Russians can take, for example, Verkhnekamensk, Serebryanka, Ivanodarevka, Vimka, because these towns is on this side of the river. But anyway, they will have to, if they want to develop their offensive operation, anyway, they will have to cross this river somewhere on some place, or from Seversky Donetsk from the north, or this river itself. And we know that this area is also very fortified by the Ukrainians. It will be very difficult. But if we are talking about the south, we see that some part of that, some bridgehead is already Russian bridgehead is already on this side of the river. So as soon as the Russians reach, for example, Kadem, establish control over these villages on the south, they will be able to attack this position, this fortification, from at least 3 sides. And of course, in this case, they have much more chances to collapse this area in comparison if we are talking about Seversk or Bakhmut, this big fortification. And if we're talking about Kurdyumovka, this area, we see that if the Russians are able to establish control over Kurdyumovka, from this side they will be able to attack the Ukrainians in many directions. We can say that this Kurdyumovka is the heart of the south, and from this town there are at least at minimum 4 roads that leads towards New York agglomeration, Konstantinovka, Chasov Yar, Bakhmut. So from this area they are able to fix Ukrainians all along the front line and to choose. The main important thing that they are able to choose where to go next. If we're talking about the Ukrainians, they need to keep forces in every single town because they don't know where the Russians are planning to attack. And if we're talking about the Russians, they need just to have, for example, one Storm Battalion Wagner groups, and in this case, they will decide where is the weakest point and where they can attack. They can attack Bakhmut from the south. From this area, they will be able to cut H-32 road to cut some support. Also, they can develop their offensive operation towards New York-Donetsk agglomeration. You see that in this case, the Russians also can attack from two sides and try to collapse this area. And also, this will give them a lot of benefits because in this case, they will be able to push the Ukrainians from Gorlovka, important strategic railroad center and supply center, and to clear this area will give them a lot of benefits and a lot of success in the further offensive operation. So this is the reason I suppose that the Russians will develop their south operation very fast. I'm not saying that the Russians are not planning to establish, fight or develop their offensive operation in Solidar or in Seversk. They will do this as well. Of course, they will do everything they need to collapse and to find the weakest point in this area. And believe me, of course, if Seversk is going to fall much more earlier than south, of course, the Russians will develop their offensive operation in the south. But if we are talking about the timings, which side is going to fall very soon, I suppose that south is going to collapse much more faster than Bakhmut or Seversk, because there are a lot of forces on the north, and it's Bakhmut itself, a very big fortress. And if you're talking about the south, the Ukrainians has already lost a lot of forces, and now they don't have strategic positions to keep this area, to hold this area for a very long time. If we're talking about any other front lines, there were not much changes. As you can see, the Ukrainians are shelling Donetsk heavily, they're shelling Gorlovka heavily. There were some updates about some drones attack and so on. And the important update about Sloviansk, yes. Today we got some report from Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation that Ukrainians brought a lot of explosive to this town. They mined some chemical stuff and they have already prepared some provocation. I'm not saying that Ukrainians are planning to explode, to mine this chemical stuff right today or tomorrow, but the Ukrainians, according to the Ministry of Defense, have already prepared their retreat way. So if they decide to leave Sloviansk, Kramatorsk, this, we can say, Zaluzhny defense line, they have something to force the Russians to stop them for a while, because they are able to destroy this chemical stuff, and of course it will force the Russians to stop for a while, to wait before this chemical stuff will disappear, and after that, only after that, they will be able to continue. And that's it for today. Military Summer channel remind you that we condemn any violence in Ukraine. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, and enjoy your day. Thank you. Bye bye.